Over the years, I have been requested to beat the PS5, but in Tech Yes City fashion, I don't just want to beat it, I want to destroy it. But unfortunately, that video hasn't come because realistically, especially during the crypto boom, you just couldn't do it. GPU prices were way too expensive and the deals just weren't there. However, lately, deals have been coming up left, right, and center on the used market in the PC world that makes it not just feasible to beat the PS5, but also feasible to destroy the upcoming PS5 Pro, which is rumored to have essentially an RX 6800 equivalent, and so it's going to have a lot more power than the PS5 on the GPU side of things, but it's still going to have roughly a Ryzen 7 3700X, or actually inferior because it's still going to be clocked lower and not have as much performance. But that's okay because we are going to go over the deals here and show you what CPU we've got in the combo and the deals that we got here to show you the prices on how we are beating this thing. Then we're going to build it up and see what performance it gets in terms of just knocking the PS5 Pro before it even comes out. Now the PS5 Pro is coming in at $699 USD. So at that price, it's actually going to be pretty good for the specs you're getting. In fact, the PS5 and also the Xbox Series X, spec-wise, when they first released, you just could not match them. They're actually incredibly good value for money. But this time around, we are going to just absolutely knock this thing out of the water. And we're going to start off with the CPU. And we've got here a 10900K, which is actually a quality sample. I've actually had to cover up the code on it because I don't want the person who sold me this to get maybe noticed by Intel with that code on the CPU because they could get flagged or something like that. But we got this CPU, this motherboard, this 750 watt power supply, and the cooler in a combo. They said they were upgrading to a Ryzen 7 5800X 3D. And so I got this for 450 Aussie dollars, the whole kit there, which makes it around 300 USD. So that's pretty much a big chunk of our $700 budget. But then we move over to the GPU, where recently we came into an incredible deal here. And this was for an RTX 4070 Ti. Actually, we got 13 of them and they're about 180 USD each. I'll put the link to that video up here because it was one of the best deals I've got in the history of the channel. And honestly, these GPUs at this price, this is a no-brainer. We are piecing one of these out for today's build. And then we've got for SSDs, because the PS5 Pro has 2 terabytes of storage, we're gonna be putting in 2 1 terabyte drives here from a supplier that I've been dealing with for years, and that's called Samsung. They make incredibly good value for money products. I'll show you a recent quote that I got off them for some of the products. And here we go here with the 16 gigabytes. We've got 2 of those, 3200 megahertz, and that was coming in at an incredibly good price too. But if you think these GPU deals, for instance, are a one-off fluke, then I'm going to tell you that they absolutely are not. We got recently an RTX 3090 here in the box for around 400 USD. So these GPU deals are just coming up all day, every day. And if you look hard enough, you will get an extremely good deal on a graphics card and a CPU combo. But then we got the last piece of the puzzle here, and this is the case. This is a Deepcool CC560, but in the US, it's hilarious because due to a US sanction, they actually had to rebrand their name. So they're now called in the US Shaking Tank. So this in the US would be a Shaking Tank CC560. Now for 46 US dollars, I paid 69 Aussie dollars for this thing. You're getting 4 ARGB fans, and we're kind of going to be going with a black and white theme here that should hopefully look mint when it's all done. But I'll put the tally of this whole build up on the screen for you guys. It's coming in well under that $700 USD price tag for the pre-order price of the PS5 Pro. And in Australia, it's coming even more under that price tag because Australians unfortunately get ripped off when it comes to USD pricing converted to Aussie pricing for new products, at least when it comes to things like Sony PlayStation 5. And I don't even know if you get a controller at that $1,200 Aussie price point. So in Australia, we're absolutely destroying the price of the PS5 Pro. And also in America, we're beating it too. And then if we look at our GPU, the 4070 Ti, it's already looking good because comparatively speaking, we're gonna be about 40% faster than the RX 6800. So let's get this thing built up and then see how it performs in games and see what numbers we're looking at.
If you want to get rid of this annoying activate Windows message, then today's video sponsor SCD Keys has you covered for as little as $15 US. After you enter that coupon code BFTYC, you can cop yourself a legit single end user license today. Also works for Windows 11 Pro too. Links in description below.
But you long gone, it don't matter. Ride or die, that's been the deal. The light of your back, I disappear. But if you don't play that for me, I'm out of it, I'm out of it. I lick my gun and then I'm done. I'm out of it, I'm out of it. And no man to tell me you're no good. I'm brushing away to you, the weight of you, of my shoulder. Done with my cigarette, and when all the smoke is clear, I'm brushing away to you, the weight to you, the weight to you. Don't need a no man. Tell me you're no good.
So here is our finished product now, looking schmick af. Though I did make one mistake in the intro. I said this case was RGB, but the shaking tank unfortunately is only a light blue on the fans. But that's not a problem because the noise is really low and the airflow feels really decent. So I'm hoping the temps will be quite low on the GPU and the CPU, especially when we're gaming. But speaking of gaming, it is now time to install Windows, as well as quickly tune up the system, which I am going to make a RAID 0 array with those 2 terabyte M.2s, so it just appears as one drive in Windows. And also I'm going to tune up the memory quickly, then get on to the inevitable awesome gaming results and see how they compare. So we've now just finished gaming on this PC, and I gotta say, this thing is impressive. And we're gonna start off with probably the most impressive game, and that is Black Myth, Wukong's Command. And here is where, when I looked at what the PS5 could do, because I don't think the PS5 Pro is actually released yet, the PS5 couldn't even do 60 FPS at 1440p. In fact, what I saw it was doing around 30 FPS at 1440p. And when we looked at what this PC can do right here, we were getting
4K with DLSS 2 enabled, around 70 average FPS on high settings. And it looked absolutely gorgeous when I was playing through it, a lot better than when I was watching back the demonstration of the 30 FPS on the PS5. So this thing is already miles ahead of the PS5, and it's going to be miles ahead of the PS5 Pro. But then I decided to test two other games, and one of those was Final Fantasy 16. And I think this one favors AMD GPUs more than NVIDIA cards, because I believe maybe Black Myth Wukong's Command might have favored NVIDIA cards more. So this game was doing 4K over 60 average FPS, and I didn't see the option for DLSS 2, but I believe it's incorporated into DLSS 3 with this particular game. And the PS5 was, I believe, with quality settings, which indicates, I think, some kind of upscaling going on there. At 4K, it was getting 30 average FPS. So we're already ahead of the PS5 by a lot in Final Fantasy 16 too. So even if you've got what they're saying is, I think, 60 to 80% more graphical performance on the PS5 Pro, it's going to be miles behind what a decent used gaming PC can deliver. Though also, the final game that we decided to test out now was Robocop Rogue City, and here is where the PS5 struggles to, again, get any sort of good playable experience, at least at 4K. With this PC right here, you've got the option of having DLSS 2 on, which I do love for these latest and greatest titles, and especially playing at 4K, I like the quality setting because it looks absolutely gorgeous. We're getting right on 60 average FPS when we're testing on these settings. And then also if we want to turn on frame generation, we are then able to get over 80 average FPS. So really impressive numbers coming out of this system, just miles ahead of the PS5, as we were saying just before. And then with the PS5 Pro slated to be launched next month, I believe, early next month, this thing is already a PS5 Pro per destroyer. At least that's what I called this thing. Anyway, with the numbers out of the way, it's time to talk about the PC in general and what I love about used hardware in the PC space. Though I was waiting for the right opportunity to do something like this, because I didn't want the PC to just perform well, I wanted it to actually look really good too. And I believe I've achieved both of those in today's video. Do let us know in the comment section below what you think of the look of the build as well as the performance, as this is one of my best PCs in terms of value for money that I've built here at Tech Yes City. And of course, I wanted to save it for something special that just blew the PS5 Pro out of the water before it even came out. Now keep in mind, I believe the only way you're going to get better performance for the dollar is if you go down the used route. I mean, in Australia though, Australia is a unique example. There are some PC companies that do very unique deals on new systems that could beat the 1200 AUD price. For instance, on Nebula PC, they've sometimes got these sales where they've got a 7800 XT system that will beat out a PS5 Pro, and that's coming in 1150 Aussie dollars. So even on the new market, you can get these really good deals if you keep your eye out, and that will beat a PS5 Pro in Australia at least, because in America, the 699 USD price tag actually equals around 1,050 Aussie dollars. And so in Australia, of course, we just pay extra for things like PS5 Pros and that. And a good reason for that is, of course, there is GST sales tax, which is a compulsory 10% on things like a PS5 Pro. So that does explain some of the difference. But of course, there is always that extra tack on expense that a lot of retailers like to do, especially when it comes to things like consoles. But the final thing I wanted to talk about was, for me personally, the aesthetics of the PS5 and the PS5 Pro. Honestly, PCs, they just look so much better, especially if you've got a few extra bucks, which we did here today. We built a $46 USD case. I think it looks really good, but keep in mind, in my opinion, I don't think it's really hard to beat the looks of a PS5 Pro and a PS5. I think these things look pretty terrible in my opinion. And even a case from like 1998 on PC, I would actually prefer on my desk than the PS5 or the PS5 Pro. I mean, might cop a lot of hate in the comments for that, but I just don't think they look that good. But another thing is, my brother, he plays on PS5 quite a lot. He's a console gamer. He's telling me that his console over time is suffering from a thing called coil whine. And that's basically when they use quite a cheap power supply in the whole build.
And in this case, I believe over time, if you're buying a PS5 or a PS5 Pro, something to look out for, as opposed to PC. In this case, we're using, although it's a used power supply, it's a 750 watt and it's a good power supply. So generally with good power supplies, they survive the test of time, unlike the consoles where things are just naturally, to keep the costs down, they're going to skimp on things like the power supply. And you can see that with the actual core clock speeds of the CPU being downclocked to essentially keep the heat down. But also on top of that, when they keep the heat down, they can keep the power consumption down, but they can also get away with using a smaller sized heatsink. And so that's why you've got those downclock specs. Now with the GPU itself, I wouldn't be surprised if that's also downclocked compared to what it's rumored to compare to, and that's an RX 6800. So don't be surprised if you've got slightly inferior performance than say an RX 6800 would provide on PC. But ultimately, because we're on PC, we don't have to worry about any of that. And the final thing I want to talk about, of course, is PC itself, just the options menu. And in this case, we're going with an NVIDIA card. We've got access to that DLSS upscaling. I absolutely love it, especially for playing on the latest AAA titles. And we've just got so much room to move around in the options in general. As opposed to console, I find the options can be, depending on the game, sometimes limited in what you can do with those option tabs. But on PC, just got so many options there to unlock and get the right experience for how we want to play games. Anyhow guys, with all that aside, hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, be sure to hit that like button and also let us know in the comments section below if you're loving this one and you want to see more content like it, or you have a special request. Love reading those comments as always, and I'll catch you in another tech video very soon. Peace out for now. Bye.